So I know I have a tough slot right after lunch, so I'm going to try to keep it as engagement as possible. And I'm going to do it in English, so I'm going to try to do it as slow as possible as well, so everybody can understand. I would like to talk about how to essentially drive digital information leveraging machine learning and AI. So before I get into the content, I really wanted to get a quick show of hands of who is actually thinking or even maybe using machine learning on AI in your applications, in your businesses? A few of you. Okay. So this session is essentially around demystifying the usage of ML and AI and how to actually think about it and how to leverage the cloud, like many companies around the world are doing, to drive innovation using machine learning and AI. So we do have thousands of customers at AWS using our machine learning and AI services, but ML and AI is something that Amazon in general is an area that we have been investing for over 20 years. If you look a lot of the experiences of customer experiences that you experiment at Amazon, many of them are actually empowered or driven by machine learning technology. And we do have thousands of engineers fully dedicated into developing deep learning, and we are actually using that learning, that investment, that customer feedback to drive our machine learning and AI portfolio forward. So I'm going to talk about a few examples during the session, but I first wanted to start with Amazon. How do we use ML AI in Amazon in general? I'm going to give you a few examples in some areas. So let me start with fulfillment and logistics. Okay. As you can imagine, a lot of what we do from a supply chain, automation, forecasting, and even the fulfillment centers itself, it's driven by ML algorithms behind the scenes. In 2003, we did launch Amazon Robotics, essentially to address the ongoing demand from e-commerce and to be able to automate the whole process of serving customers better, faster, and automating the whole fulfillment process. So a lot of what happens behind the scenes in these fulfillment centers is actually driven by AI. And these robots, for instance, the way the paths work throughout the fulfillment center is optimized by machine learning algorithms. We use heavily, for instance, computer vision, depth sensing, automatic software control, power management, speech recognition to actually hear commands and so forth. And again, this is something that it's really, really key, because if you think about, for instance, the last Prime Day that we had a few months ago, from 442 fulfillment centers around the world, we drove over 7 trillion API calls to our Dynamo database around those days. So it's very, very important to provide the best customer experience, and therefore, the more automation that we can bring, the faster we can actually serve those products to our clients and so forth. So a lot of happening using ML and AI. Another area, search and discovery, and I think this is an area that you probably are aware of, because we've been doing this for quite some time. I think every time that you go to Amazon.com, you look for a product or for anything on the site, the whole searching mechanism, the whole discovery mechanism is actually powered and fueled by machine learning as well. Personalization, using user interactions data, using our store data, using your previous purchase data, and even demographic data. We actually use personalization technology to drive the better recommendations for what you're looking for on the site and so forth. So again, another area powered by ML and AI. We're also bringing AI and ML to existing products. So we may actually launch a service or a solution on a product on Amazon, and down the road, we actually bring machine and AI technology as part of the enhanced user experience. This is, for example, Amazon Prime Video. A few years ago, we introduced this capability called X-Ray. So X-Ray really is also powered by machine learning and AI, and it uses the Internet movie database, the online service, to actually fetch characters data into a particular movie. So the user, what they're actually experiencing the video, the movie, or the episode, they can actually choose or identify what are the actors that are actually included in that particular scene, and we're able to actually recognize those actors during the scene, so you can actually improve that user experience for your end users while you're actually watching. So again, this is another example of leveraging ML and AI into an existing product and enhancing that end viewer and user experience. Alexa. Alexa is obviously very powered and fully powered by machine learning and AI. We use techniques such as automatic speech recognition or natural language understanding. So we actually fuel by those deep learning models to have that great user experience that Alexa provides and being able to recognize while you're speaking to Alexa and actually understand the whole commands and so forth. So again, another example of leveraging ML AI within existing products. And we're also looking ahead of how we can deliver new solutions, new products, new services to our customers, also powered by ML and AI. I don't know how many of you have heard about Prime Air, Amazon Prime Air, but it's essentially a service that is current development in countries like the UK, France, and so forth, where we're going to be testing the ability to deliver packages up to 25 kilos in less than 30 minutes. Okay, and that whole delivery requires, as you can imagine, a lot of machine learning and AI technology, from computer vision, object recognition, and a lot of the technology that is actually used in the robotics area that we saw earlier bring together as well to these sort of services for our end customers. And again, our main aspect here is to be able to deliver to the customer what they want when they want it, and in less time and less cost. And this is actually employing ML and AI to drive that innovation for our end customer. And last but not least, I don't know how many of you have experience of Amazon Go. So Amazon Go is the experience that you have when you walk into a store. You're maybe looking for a drink or a sandwich or whatever it is. You walk into the store, you go into that particular aisle, you grab that item, and you leave, and that's the experience. So it's walk in, walk out. It's using essentially the same similar technologies that is used by self-driving cars, such as, again, computer vision, object detection, a lot of sensors in the stores. I happened to experience Amazon Go for the first time not too long ago, about 5-6 months ago. Let me tell you, it's a weird experience. I went in, I grabbed my drink, and then I went out, and I essentially stopped right at the door to see whether everybody was checking me or actually, because I couldn't figure out whether I was being charged or not. And I immediately got the receipt from the article. But it's a differentiated experience into the online, physical shopping, and how we're actually bringing AL and MMI to actually deliver that increased user experience for our customers. ML and AI is not, or especially artificial intelligence, it's been around for over 50 years. The key difference nowadays is that the cloud is actually enabling to be applied at scale. In order to do AI machine learning, you need essentially two core aspects. One is data, a lot of data, okay? And the cloud allows you to collect that data, store that data in a very low-cost manner. It also allows you to scale the data in a very durable way, and allows you to protect it. So durability, security, and a lower cost is something that the cloud gives you by default. Now, once you have the data, you also need to start building your models, training your models, deploying them, and so forth. So you need compute power. And the cloud allows you to give you that essentially virtual compute capacity that you need in order to do machine learning the right way. And especially with the introduction of like the high performance graphical processing units, GPUs, that are especially targeted towards machine learning and ML and AI workloads and deep learning workloads. So those two aspects is what's really changing the landscape today into applying ML AI a few years ago versus applying it today, with the cloud actually enabling those two main focus areas. Now, once you're able to tackle on and to use the cloud for ML and AI, there are a lot of things. There is a lot of great things that you can do, and we see an increase in the market of thinking of putting ML and AI as part of the digital transformation, as noted by ITC. Things that you can do, we talk about personalization. You can start building, for instance, conversational chatbots. You can do things such as biometric authentication. You can do things in the areas of, like I say, automate supply chain management, do better predictions in the case of retail, more accurate forecasting. So before even having one of those big sales days, you're actually able to have the right stock of products based on previous demands and analyzing historical data, building machine learning models to actually do a much accurate predictive analysis. Or you can even do innovation in areas such as, for instance, like healthcare, moving from reactive care to predictive care, okay? Being able to maybe start developing and accelerate the development of drugs and treatments way before those treatments are actually needed, just because you're able to actually gather all that data and process that data and do that predictive analysis. So there's a lot of things that you can do with ML and AI with the right technology. Now, why are we AWS here and why we're talking about ML and AI? Well, our mission really is to demystify it and to be able to put ML and AI at the fingerprints of essentially any developer out there. We want to simplify machine learning, okay? And that's, again, using that our heritage, our traditional investment in machine learning and AI. We've developed a lot of capabilities and services, and I'll talk about that as well. But we also develop and acquire a lot of knowledge of how to actually successfully use ML and AI and to deploy in real products, real services for our customers. So that's really our mission, is to make it simple for everybody here in the room to start building intelligent applications using AWS ML and AI. What makes our approach different, unique? Well, first of all, we are a company that is unusually customer obsessed, customer focused. Let me explain what that means. A lot of technology companies base their development on maybe they focus on products. Others focus on the features that other competitors are actually building. That could work for a lot of companies, but our approach is different. We actually start from the customer and work our way backwards. Meaning, we talk to them, we listen to what matters most to them in terms of features, services, needs, and essentially 90% of all our development, all of our innovation comes from customer feedback. Okay. Now the other 10% out there. It's really innovation or invention that comes on behalf of the customer by essentially reading between the lines of what actually may matter to them as well. Okay, so customer focus is one key area because it allows us to get direct feedback from customers and actually develop and provide to those customers what matters to them the most. But the second big one, which is our approach to software development and deployment. It's also a very unique approach because we do hire and we invest in what we call builders. Builders are people that like to reinvent, that like to think differently, that like to actually look at those customer experiences and reinvent them in an iterative way. But our software and development teams are also fully autonomous and decentralized. So they have the ability to, for instance, a machine learning and AI team, to start engaging and talking and working directly with the customer, develop a feature or a service, and immediately release it on the platform, which is, by the way, available to everybody on the platform to be used. So that allows us to iterate and innovate in a very, very fast manner. And this is, for instance, one of the reasons why our pace of innovation in general is really, really fast, because we follow that model of customer focus with a decentralized and autonomous development environment. Just to give you an idea, just in 2018, we released more than 200 machine learning and AI services, capabilities, and features alone. That gives you the scope of that really, really fast pace of innovation that we're experimenting. And that brings into the capability of the platform. That provides us with the broadest and deepest capabilities from an ML and AI standpoint that any other provider out there. But we also, one of the core tenets or aspects of AWS is to provide you, developers, or whoever is using our services, with the flexibility to actually have control on how you want to configure your application, what framework do you want to use in your application, so you can actually target the right configuration, frameworks, and so forth to what the need of that particular application is. So we don't log you into a particular, for instance, ML or AI framework. We'll see that you have the ability to choose some of the most popular ML and AI frameworks, but you can also bring your own framework in a Docker container, for instance. Okay? So again, flexibility is also key. And last but not least, you can have a lot of features and services that are ML and AI related, but you really need to have them integrated and part of a broader platform that gives you the right data store, the right analytics, and also the right security. Okay? I'm going to talk a little bit more of those later on, but this means being able to, again, store that data securely in a durable way, being able to analyze that data, whether it's with data warehousing, streaming data, batch processing, transformation, whatever it is that you need to actually prepare the data for the particular ML workload. And last but not least, it needs to be secure. So providing the right security mechanism controls, so you have granular control of who accesses the data, the content, and also being able to encrypt it and so forth. Okay? So you need that holistic platform in order to provide that right level of support. Now, this is one of the reasons why most machine learning today on the cloud happens on AWS. Okay? We see here more than 10,000 customers today that have used machine learning on AWS. 81% of the deep learning that happens on the cloud happens on AWS. And if you happen to be aware of or use or have heard about TensorFlow, 85% of all the TensorFlow machine learning, deep learning that happens on the cloud happens on AWS. Because again, we provide that holistic platform and those capabilities. And it's not only about the features and services, it's also the ability to do machine learning at scale with the right performance, but also lowering costs. A recent study by Stanford's done pretty much ranks AWS machine learning AI capabilities in the top spots for fastest training time, lowest inference time, but also lowest training costs and lowest inference costs. So again, obtaining a lot of performance when it comes to doing that machine learning, but at the same time at a lower cost, which is something that I think obviously everybody would be interested on doing. So we do provide such a strong capabilities and such a strong value proposition to essentially any company out there of any size across any verticals. That means financial services, healthcare, maybe you're a startup. Regardless of the vertical that you're on, there is literally no other better platform to actually start building or training and modeling and deploying intelligent applications with machine learning and AI. We're going to see a few examples in the next areas, but as you can see, there is the breadth and depth of the platform, the capabilities of the platform, and the ability to actually focus on ML and AI from a customer-obsessed standpoint is what makes us different and what we see our customers leveraging day in and day out. What do most of those companies, or maybe all of those companies, have in common, the ones that I just showed you? Well, they've realized that to do machine learning, you actually need to have to do successfully, actually, you need to do a mind shift. And a mind shift involves the technology standpoint and the culture in your organization. Okay? You need to be able to put ML and AI at the center of your digital transformation process, but from both a technology view and also from a culture view. So I'm going to touch upon both areas as well. And obviously, like I said at the beginning, because of our heritage in machine learning, because of our investment in machine learning, we do have AWS provides that technology expertise, technology capabilities, but also the know-how and the knowledge of how to better implement ML and AI in your business. Now, in order to go forward, I think you need to start making AI and ML and AI at the centerpiece of your next digital transformation process. So essentially, every aspect of your business should be slowly integrated with ML and AI. But I guess the question there is, how do we do that? What's the technology? Well, you need the right technology stack. Because not every project is the same, not every company is the same, not every developer out there is the same. So you essentially need a technology stack that fits your business and your developer expertise. So the way we approach machine learning and AI is through a 3-layer stack. Okay? And I'm going to be talking a little bit more in depth into each of those in these layers. But very quickly on the top, I'm going to stop top down. On the top side, we see AI services. Okay, these are essentially AI pre-built, pre-trained, ready-made services that anybody with no ML AI experience can start using right away. Okay, we give you an API, you start using those AI services, and you're off to go. Now, you can easily start building a lot of applications, internet applications with those services. And I'm going to talk about a few of those next, but that includes ability to do maybe image and video recognition, facial recognition, for instance. So drive insights and relationships within text in documents, or maybe the ability to do text-to-speech, speech-to-text. You could also do translation services, transcribing services, forecasting, personalization. We've essentially taken some of the most commonly used use cases for AI, and we've pre-packaged them in services that again, are ready to use for anybody without ML or AI expertise. Now, the second level is for those companies, enterprises that want to do custom machine learning, but at the scale, but without having to worry about the underlying and all the heavy lifting necessary to do the building your model, training your models, and deploying your models at scale. So we'll talk about Amazon SageMaker and how Amazon SageMaker helps those sort of developers and data scientists to do custom machine learning easily and quickly and cost-effective and with the performance and the scalability needed. And the last layer, the bottom layer, is the one targeted to those specialists, the experts, the machine learning practitioners that are very comfortable with dealing with managing and dealing with the models, the training, and the deployment themselves. And they want to have the most flexibility in terms of frameworks, and they also want to have the most flexibility when it comes to the right compute power, choosing the right compute distance, and so forth. Okay? And we'll take a look at those as well. Just a quick on the high-level services. Like I said, these are pre-trained and ready to use. You don't need to have any prior ML AI experience. You can very quickly start using things such as Amazon Recognition that allows you to do recognition of objects, people, places, activities, text within an image, for instance. It also comes with facial analysis and facial recognition. And again, services that are really quickly able to give you a head start into building internet applications, whether it's maybe adding AI to an existing application or maybe building a new modern application that you want to release, maybe because you want to improve insights, or maybe you want to improve a customer experience, or you want to reduce cost. And you can actually concatenate those services together. Maybe you want to do from a speech to text recognition using something like transcribe, for instance, and then use that text to do a translation and then do text-to-speech with Amazon Poly that supports 59 voices and 29 languages. So again, you can actually start building really complex or more complex experiences by linking those services together that provide a much more compelling experience to your end users. A few examples using those services, for instance, for security and safety. there is about 40 million victims of human trafficking in the world, according to the International Labour Organization. So think about the benefits of using machine learning and AI to be able to, for instance, use Amazon recognition and comprehend to understand emotions from pictures and sentiments within text itself. Or maybe use facial-based authentication to actually identify victims in images and to identify their identities. Or maybe use Amazon recognition for video to do search on social videos of particular potential victims. Okay, so there is a lot of powerful things that you can do with this technology to help in this scenario. For instance, Thorn, which is an anti-human trafficking organization that focuses on technology, is actually using they've been able to actually discover over 5,800 child abuse victims, and they've been able to rescue 103 victims from that child abuse, and they've been using Amazon recognition to help them reduce their investigation time by 65%. So the more quickly that you can investigate cases, the faster that you're going to be able to rescue victims. Okay, just a quick example. For localization and translation services, we live in a very global environment. There is an increasing need to do local content, local services, local processes. So the more we can streamline the process of translating, improving accuracy, reducing costs, it's something that is valuable for a lot of companies. In the case, for instance, with Lionbridge, which is one of the world's leading online translation language services, they've been actually using Amazon Translate in coordination with their human editors to reduce, to improve performance and to reduce costs, but at the same time improve accuracy, because Amazon Translate actually uses neural translation which leverages deep learning models and analysis to do more accurate, but at the same time more natural translation, which is something that a lot of us we sort of suffer when we see translation. This doesn't sound too natural when you hear that translation. And last but not least, personalization. I think I've talked about Amazon already, but being able to leverage user data, customer clicks, user journeys, products, and so forth to deliver a more compelling user experience to the end users is something that is definitely something that companies or users are demanding, and is one of those differentiators from using your services or buying your product on your site. You want to have that individualized personal experience. Now, the second level, like I talked, was about the ML services. So once you go from very simple to use, those pre-built AI services that are available, what if you want to do custom machine learning? Custom machine learning is something that a lot of enterprises and startups want to do, but there is a lot of heavy lifting associated with preparing your data, collecting your data, preparing your model, training your model, choosing the right algorithm, optimizing that algorithm for the right training, then do the training, which is usually handed off to a secondary team. And then once your model has been trained, you actually need to put it in production, deployment in production, which is also typically handed over to a third team to actually do the deployment, integrate with the real data, and fine-tune it. So the process, although it's very powerful, it has a lot of challenges. Okay? Now, one of the main focus of Amazon SageMaker is to enable that custom machine learning at scale and make it accessible for essentially any developer and data scientist, but without the heavy lifting associated with, again, and the complexity and also the guesswork associated with building a model, training the model, and deploying the model. Okay? So with SageMaker, for instance, when it comes to building your model, you can immediately or very quickly connect to your data. You can format, label the data in the right way. You can prepare it for training. You'll be able to choose from one of the pre-installed most common algorithms for machine learning that comes with SageMaker. Not only that, but that they have also being optimized to run 10 times faster than in any other platform. And if you don't want to use one of those algorithms and you want to use your own framework, or you want to use one of those existing frameworks, it actually comes pre-configured to use, for instance, TensorFlow or Apache MXNet or PyTorch, because essentially those are bringing to SageMaker as a Docker container. And if you want to bring your own framework also as a container, you can bring it on as well into SageMaker. Now, once you build your model, you can just go to SageMaker, the console, and just with one click start your training. And start your training really at scale, at petabyte scale. And that's one of the nice things about SageMaker in this case, that you don't have to worry about that heavy lifting or really training at a massive scale, because as a fully managed service, we're taking care of for doing that for you as well. And it also includes things such as automatic model fine-tuning. So you can actually start getting better, accurate results by telling to SageMaker to fine-tune the model as you wish, as the process of training continues. And once the model has been trained, you go to deployment. And deployment is essentially the process of making predictions, which is called inferencing. Okay, and again, you have to deploy using connecting to real-time data or batch data as well. And we also have the ability to support, for instance, A/B testing. So you may want to maybe test different scenarios of your deployment model to actually get better results of your machine learning. A couple of examples. Formula One, I don't know how many of you are F1 fans or look into the F1 races. I am. I'm sure a lot of went maybe sometimes to Hungary here in Hungary. But when you go into the viewing experience, probably you've seen a lot of videos where it says, hey, I don't know, Leclerc is going to overtake Hamilton, and this is the probability of that overtake happening, and so forth. Well, that's all driven by Amazon SageMaker machine learning. Okay, essentially with the F1 data scientists, they use about 65 years of historical data to feed that into machine learning, deep learning models that can actually predict those sort of race conditions. They also gather real-time data from about 120 sensors for each car, which is about 3 gigabits of data on each race, to actually see what's the driver going to be performing, what is the tire wear out, and so forth. So it's very interesting. If you guys can go to F1 Insights on AWS, you'll see a few samples of that taken into place. So it's a great user experience from a user standpoint. Healthcare. GE is the pioneer in X-rays since 1896. One of the things that I talked earlier is about predictive care. Well, GE Healthcare is leveraging Amazon SageMaker to analyze X-rays, CT scans in thousands, so they can actually predict and drive insights into potential patient needs in terms of priority. So again, prioritizing not only the patient, which is the most important piece, but also the treatment associated with it. So, and again, it's also leveraging SageMaker and that data. Tinder, I'm sure a lot of you also know Tinder, matchmaking. Well, it uses Amazon SageMaker as well, and Amazon Recognition. We use Amazon SageMaker to provide better matches using all that data that comes from those millions of matches per minute, or those swipes, billions of swipes per day across 180 countries, to drive better matches in the app, but also to drive better engagement through Amazon Recognition for image tagging. Completely different use case, but again, using that technology and that analysis to drive a better customer experience. Now, last but not least, the last layer, frameworks and infrastructure. So what if you are an expert, a machine learning practitioner, one of those hardcore developer data scientists, and want to have all the flexibility? Well, again, this is the layer for you. You are comfortable with building those models yourself. You're comfortable with training the models yourself. You're comfortable with deploying the models yourself and handling all that work yourself. one of the things that I said, I give you a few stats on the amount of deep learning happening on AWS, which is 81%, or TensorFlow usage, which is 85%. But it's also driving performance. One of the stats I think that is very interesting is the linear scaling that we provide for TensorFlow projects, which is about 90%. And also being able to reduce training time effectively on those frameworks, such as a 50% reduction for TensorFlow projects, is one of those key aspects of being able to choose your own framework, but also doing it on a platform that gives you that right performance and scalability. Now, you also have, the interesting part here is that most of the machine learning that happens at this level is actually using SageMaker, because SageMaker is a fully managed service. So a lot of the scientists and data scientists and machine learning experts that are still comfortable using and managing and playing around with the frameworks themselves, they use SageMakers because of the fully managed service capabilities. And also using what is called the AWS deep learning machine image, which comes pre-configured and pre-installed with a lot of these frameworks already. So you just deploy it on the platform through an AWSome machine image. You also have all the flexibility from a computing infrastructure standpoint. For instance, you can choose to use the Amazon EC2 P3 instances, which deliver up to 14 times the performance that you will get from traditional GPU or from previous generation GPU instances. Or you can use the Amazon EC2 F1 instances that allows you to do, it's a computing instance with field programmable gate arrays. So you can essentially do custom hardware acceleration for your machine learning, which obviously is very, very powerful as well. And we continue to update our instances stack, and we just released one, which is the D3X24 large, which has 100 gigabits network bandwidth and twice the memory, the GPU memory that comes with traditional P3s as well. So as you can see, there is a wide range of computing options that you have in order to tailor your machine learning workloads and to do, for instance, large-scale distributed learning. So we talk about the technology, and again, I have 1 minute left, but I'm going to go quickly on this one. It's not only those machine learning and AI services and capabilities that we just talked about, it's the need to have an integrated platform. So the data storage, using, for instance, analytics in the areas of data warehousing with Amazon Redshift, or being able to do batch processing, or using transformations, using streaming data. Amazon Kinesis, for instance, is a real-time streaming service that you can actually plug, collect, analyze, and process streaming data in real time. That is very, very powerful, for instance, with the case of F1 or the Formula One, to actually collect that data, prepare it, and do the training as we go. Okay? So you need that comprehensive platform in order to deliver that right, or to do machine learning successfully. And obviously, data security. Security is our top priority. We are the industry leader in providing the right security technology and services. And this shows up in the level of granularity, the level of controls, the tools, the encryptions that you can put in place in order to secure your data. And from a data storage standpoint, the ability to actually use, for instance, Amazon S3 or databases to build your own data lake, giving you that very complete and comprehensive big data platform to do any sort of machine learning in the cloud these days. So last piece, the culture. This is, again, based on our experience, based on what we talk to customers, based on our internal experience using ML and AI. What is the sort of culture shift that you need in order to do machine learning and AI successfully? Well, first one, you need to establish what business case you want to solve. Okay? Like I say, maybe driving a better customer experience, or maybe providing better insights, reducing cost. Whatever it is, you need to establish that use case and establish a pilot. A pilot meaning, I'm going to be using that particular business case, but I'm going to focus on these technologies, and I'm going to focus on these tools and these services. And then, obviously, constant measure of return on investment and success. And that's going to be able to fine-tune your process, your business case, the tools that you're using, and the impact that that tool has. The next one is data. You need to really advance your data strategy. You need to look into where the data is coming from. It could be external data, It could be internal data, it could be structured data, it could be unstructured data. So you need to have that holistic view of what are your data sources and how you can actually leverage that data to make better decisions with your machine learning and AI, taking advantage of the data and the data aspect for it. Then you obviously need to be able to clean it, prepare it, fine-tune it, label it accordingly with the right tools in order to do that training accordingly. But also you need to establish data governance and a data workbook so everybody in the organization actually knows how to deal with the data, what the data needs to look like, and so forth, so it can be very used, or much better used internally. And the last one is organize your structure and your teams for machine learning and AI-driven developments. So essentially, you're probably going to need somebody that has maybe a background in physical scientists, somebody that is used to deal with data to solve problems. You're probably going to need somebody that is the subject matter expert, the domain expert in the business case that you're trying to solve, an ML AI engineer, developer that actually can use those services to integrate it. And then lastly, you're probably going to need somebody that is the architect that puts everything together and that helps with the deployment and the production and so forth. And then constant iterations with the other business areas to make sure that the process going forward and it works as you intend to. Okay, so you need that culture shift, not only the technology stack, you need both pieces to work together in order to be really delivering machine learning at scale, but with the right level of success. Now, for those of you, and I'm going to wrap it up with this one, that is interested on maybe trying, testing some cool deep learning technology. We announced the Aws Dip Lens that gives you 100 GFLOPS of compute power. You can start doing deep learning enabled image and video analysis with Dip Lens. It's purposely built for ML, okay? And you can fully program it, play around, and you'll be able to actually start probably getting your first Dip Lens-based project in just a matter of minutes. So I encourage you to go to aws.amazon.com/Dip Lens. And last but not least, if you want to have more information, there is a lot of content, obviously, that you can get online from ml.aws. So with that, I would like to thank everybody, and hopefully it was interesting, and thank you for attending. Appreciate it.